Today we have gathered to interrogate the question of how Christian Zionism as a modern theological and political movement has turned out to be a threat to Christian-Muslim relations in general, and which has also emerged as a detriment to a just peace within Palestine and Israel. We all know that Christian Zionism provides a worldview where religious teachings have been identified with the ideology of empire, of colonialism, and militarism. Today is an important day. It is very significant. December 9th marks the 33rd anniversary of Palestinian Intifada. It was on this day in 1987 that the uprising broke out throughout occupied Palestine. It generated massive solidarity for the Palestinians across the Middle East and the whole world, in fact. But systematic Israeli violence, which led to the killing and wounding of thousands, and the lack of meaningful political support from the PLO and movements, pushed the Palestinian people to eventually abandon one of the greatest and acts of solidarity and of coming together, a popular rebellion of modern history. Today we gather as four movements for peace with a shared worldview and a common aspiration for justice. We welcome you on behalf of each of these organizations, and I will very briefly introduce them. The first is the International Movement for a Just World, called JUST, which is an international NGO based in Malaysia. It seeks to critique global injustice and to develop an alternative vision of a just and compassionate civilization guided by universal spiritual and moral values. We then have the Center for the Study of Society and Secularism based in Bombay, which works for peace and communal harmony in India. But the CSSS is not confined only to India. It joins Asian networks and global networks in its pursuit for peace and interfaith dialogue. We then have the Global Kairos for Asia Solidarity and Network in Palestine, led by Dr. Yong Bock, who is part of the Global Kairos for Justice, which is a worldwide concerned Christians and church-related organizations and people of faith born in response to the Kairos Palestine. And then finally, we have the Indo-Palestine Solidarity Network, which convened this group together, which is a network of like-minded people drawn from all parts of India committed to justice and freedom for Palestine. We, as a group, seek an end to the racist, colonialist, apartheid politics of Israel.
But I want to just say my feelings, that I feel I'm a Palestinian. I am a Muslim. And somehow my Muslim friends, the Palestinian friends, they are my students and they are my colleagues. I feel close affinity with their thinking, their agony, and their efforts to keep the hope alive. I think this is a very important task. But we can do it. I think we can do if we begin to share the hope much wider and globally, to celebrate in advance the joys of hope. I think the solidarity, alliance, these are necessary conditions for the political struggle. But we begin to feel the joy of life, celebrating life together. I think that today we have discussed about the political ramification of the Christian Zionism with a sharp focus centering around the state of Israel, with Christian Zionism but its political ramifications are much wider. It is being transformed into something much wider horizon, getting into deeper in the political hegemonic dimensions of the political. It is becoming very elusive and also very creative sometimes. So what is the political manifestation of the Christian Zionism? Much more clearer and wider. I think this is the important question. Our Malaysian friend was talking about Chinese, the Malaysian relationship. I felt that the Pence thinks that the Chinese are Muslims. For the Pence, as a Christian Zionist, he regards our socialist friends are the secular Muslims. This is a kind of a new development. But also I realized that we should articulate the nature of our faith and the spirituality much beyond our regular doctrinal theological categories. We should be much more imaginative so that we can foster spirituality transcending our religious boundaries, our religious and secular boundaries. In fact, that spiritual communion should be universal and cosmic. I think this is possible, and this Christian Zionism question brings us some of the questions of the tasks. And now my question to Ranjan is that how can we continue? We did not have really enough time. This 2 hours not enough time, but we need to articulate more. And Ranjan, do you have some wisdom how we go procedurally for the future? This is my end of my comment.
Okay. No, I always held this view that these kinds of meetings cannot be one-offs, because when we meet once, we are so stimulated. And then if we let go, I think that's a betrayal of the people we have talked about. And I don't think we have the right to betray the people who have been betrayed over and over and over again by country after country. So we want to affirm our solidarity with the Palestinians in the context of all the dynamics that have been referred to at this meeting. I think we, as the 4 organizers of this meeting, will come back together to reflect on how this went, because in the chat box, there are so many comments, so many questions, so many queries. People are asking for more. So I think in the light of that, we should meet again to take this forward, because and it's not just about talking about Christians and Muslims. This also was said repeatedly. What about oppressed communities around the world? How can we together work to unite the oppressed? The unity of the oppressed is, I think, the question that we are talking about. That includes the Palestinians, of course, but there are many other categories of people. Black lives matter, Dalit lives matter, and all kinds of oppressed groups, their lives too matter. So this is not the end, it's only the beginning of, I think, another coming together of people who will take this somewhere beyond where we are, beyond virtual space, but right into the ground, and bring people more from the ground. I think it was good that today we had veterans speaking and also younger voices. This was a very good combination. And I think it's important for us to create generational change. I missed I missed women on our panel, and I think we have to find a way of correcting that imbalance that we did. Many questions in the chat box came from women. Many sharp questions came from women, but we shall do this. So thank you very much to all the speakers. Kim Yong Bock, our chair, Chandra Muzaffar, who's really, I would say he's so much the brain behind so many things that we thought about. Irfan, who came up, Hassan, um, Philip Peacock, Illan Pappe. Yeah, these are all people who, Illan Pappe is a name, like I said, I never had the privilege of meeting him, but I know him by his books that are all around me. I was happy to see my old friend Philip Peacock do exactly what I asked him to do, go out of the box and talk, and he did that. But I think all in all, it was a very well integrated coming together, and we shall continue. Thank you very much.